Badlands, running to Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Mr. Vice President, I'm going off script again, I know, but I just want to personally thank you. We've been through some stuff. We've gone through some of the most complex military operations this country's ever conducted, and your steady hand and your leadership during those was a great source of strength for me. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your character. Thank you for your selfless service. Thank you for commitment. Thank you for being a mentor to me, Mr. Vice President.
It's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. Did I get that one right? Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
This is a president of the United States who is a danger to the republic.
America first.
He knows he's an illegitimate president.
The oath of office I take today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans.
The great Trump recovery.
America will never be a socialist country. I will fight for you with every breath in my body.
Russia, Russian, pro-Russian, Russian, the Russians.
Russia.
And I will never, ever let you down.
A dangerous virus is spreading rapidly in China, and U.S. officials are very worried that it could come here.
This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this. The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. Together, we will make America strong again. You know what it's about? Fraud, fake ballot. We will make America wealthy again. They are trying to steal the election.
Now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of Special Operations Forces.
We will make America proud again. And watch, please, those mail-in ballots. We will make America safe again. And in millions and millions of ballots, their vote is under what they thought they needed. They're dumping more ballots in there, okay? And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president.
Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Saturday Devolution Power Hour. How are my co-hosts Patrick and Chris doing?
Loving my life, my friend.
Wow. It's incredibly positive, Patrick.
Well, what can I say? I'm part of the Great Awakening. I have this amazing audience to talk to every single day.
That's true.
I'm developing new products every day. It's just a good life to have. What can I say?
You've almost made the horrors go away, Patrick, but they persist, as do I. John, you're
blurry.
Pretty
you are
blurry.
frozen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Frozen.
So throughout this show, as that happens, let me know. I'm going to back out and come right back in. I don't know why this is happening because my numbers are great on the streaming end, but I'll be right back.
They are. They're very good. Seriously, guys, if you get 60 megabits per second upload speed, that's got to be good enough. Now, here in the Pat Cave, I'm getting something like 950 megabits per second upload, and it's pretty badass, but I don't like to brag. Oh, wait, I love to brag.
Is that better?
Yes,
that's much better.
Okay. Well, if it happens again, let me know. I'll back out, come back in. But yeah, should be a good show. It's been a good week, like news-wise, especially the last few days. A lot of devolution-y things going on. We are going to talk a little bit more about the Iranian hack of Trump's emails, what it means for election interference, and some other things surrounding that. We're also going to talk about a recent video that was brought to my attention by Ghost of Base Patrick Henry. That guy, I don't know how that guy follows so much happenings, but that guy's like paying attention to everything, and he got a great clip, very devolution-y. We're going to talk about it, and then also I think we're going to dive into a little bit, I hope, Chris, anyway, the Mike Benz interview. You said you pulled some clips on it. Mike Benz did an interview with Sean Ryan, and pretty interesting from what I've heard. I haven't watched it myself, so I'm excited to look at that, and then we'll see what else happens. We'll see. Yeah. Shenanigans will likely ensue. But before we get into any of that, Patrick, how about we get to our sponsor of today's shows? Two of them.
Yeah,
Field of Greens.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's talking about those weight loss injections because the results are so dramatic. They work by lowering blood sugar and reducing appetite. But what if you need to lose weight, but you don't have the money and you don't like weekly shots and you don't particularly enjoy poisoning yourself? That's why doctors created a weight loss supplement called Lean, and the results are remarkable. The studied ingredients in Lean have been shown to lower your blood sugar, burn fat by converting it into energy, and curb your appetites and cravings, so you're not as hungry. But listen, Lean is not for the casual dieter with only a few pounds to lose. The doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition created Lean for frustrated dieters with 10 or more pounds to lose. Let's get you started with 15% off and free rush shipping so you can add Lean to your healthy diet and exercise plan. Visit takelean.com. Enter John15, Jon15 for your discount. That's promo code John15 at takelean.com. And for the love of God, do not jab yourself with Ozempic. Pretty please with sugar on top.
That's a jab?
Ozempic?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. You need to bypass your liver with that shit.
Wow.
Is that what they did to Oprah? Because that looks, she got body snatched, man, and replaced with somebody who's like 45.
Yes. Well, number one, there's the black don't crack factor. My friend Juliet, my friend Juliet is 61 years old, and she could easily pass for 50. So there is that. But yeah, man, she's also a freaking quadrillionaire. She can get anything she wants done.
Did you guys actually watch that interview with Kamala on Oprah?
I watched some clips, and the clips were hilarious. Man, I didn't actually spend much time taking a look at this, but just a few minutes before we all logged on, I mean, I'm remembering it now. There's a video that says that apparently I haven't watched this. If you guys want to watch it, we can. It's like 30 seconds long.
Well,
but
before we do that,
it shows Kamala reading off a teleprompter in that interview.
Let's do that. But first, let's get to our second sponsor. And then I do want to watch that. So if you want to share your screen.
Yeah.
But EasyRx, Patrick, you want to do that for us?
Absolutely. Tonight's show is brought to you by our partners at EasyRx. Did you know that EasyRx has been committed to supplying high quality medications since 2011 for more than 13 years? EasyRx has focused on your health by supplying much needed medications like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, fenbendazole, and more. Anybody heard of a little thing called Z-Pak? It could come in handy. With the C19 election variant and monkeypox narrative in full swing, now is the perfect time to stock up on essentials for you and your family. The ordering process is simple, the shipping is fast, and the prices are just unbeatable. Rest assured that you and your loved ones are ready for anything by visiting badlandsmedia.tv/EasyRx. Don't forget to use promo code BADLANDS for a 10% discount on purchases of $150 or more. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/EasyRx and use promo code BADLANDS for great savings.
Awesome. All right, Chris, you got that video?
Yes, sir.
No sound.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. I'm not sure if that's a problem of the video. Yeah, I think that's just a problem of the video.
You can clearly see the
There's definitely a but that could just be for Oprah. I don't know, man.
Also, it's frozen.
It is indeed.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, no sound. Sound isn't even needed.
Yeah, gosh, man. No, I guess there's no sound. It's just this.
Well,
So,
I think your settings might have it set to not play sound because it has a little.
I know it does. It does say
out.
that, but I've also played the video, and while playing the video, like I can play it on my end, and there's just no sound. It's a 5-second clip.
Oh, okay. Well, we see a teleprompter there. I think that's cute. It's kind of like
not as big a deal.
Yeah, it's kind of like those videos where you see, at NASA central headquarters, and there's a dude with a green screen in the background and all that stuff. I don't know how much stupidity is required to put something that damning in the shot, but there it is.
Well, it's crazy to me. Like, first of all, it wouldn't be surprising in the slightest to know that somebody like Oprah is interviewing Kamala and the whole thing is scripted, including her answers and the questions and when the audience applauses and whatever. Wouldn't surprise me at all. That's what these people do. And that, by the way, is a form of election interference that doesn't get talked about ever. But number two, like, how do people fall for that shit? Like, does not make any sense. I was at some football games today, and like, there are people, like normal people you engage with, and then you find out later that they're super liberal. And it's like, how is it? Like, that person seemed mentally sane, yet that person's going to vote for Kamala. Like, that does not make sense to me.
A lot of these votes are cultural, man. They just consider it part of their identity to vote blue no matter who. It's a generational tradition, and getting rid of it is a trick. It's a real trick.
That's certainly a real thing. I think that there's also a lot of people who still don't have the courage to like stand up and speak for themselves or defend Donald Trump. If you've always been a Republican, you don't even really have to defend Donald Trump. You can just always talk about how the Democrat is really bad. So
that's true.
But man, for people to actually come out and defend Donald Trump, that means they have to be willing to have elite society mad at them.
Yeah. This one is actually interesting because this person, I don't know him very well. Obviously not going to name who it is, but they're upset with Trump over something that the media accused him of.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like tuned out of politics now because he's like so upset, but he hates Trump because it's something that like he won't. I don't know if he watches the news. I don't think he does, but he hates Trump. And I think it had to do with the PPP stuff, which wasn't even his fault. Like that was a congressional bill. Trump just signed it into law. You know what I mean? But that would have taken place regardless of Trump because they had a veto-proof majority. But it's stuff like that. It's just funny to me or interesting, maybe more than funny, that the media has done such a good job over the years of turning people against Trump that some people are like, I don't even want to watch anymore. So they don't watch the news. They don't pay attention to politics, but that means they don't get it. They don't wake up to the new shit anymore. You know what I mean?
So true. It's part of ego. Okay. That's the most amazing thing about politics. It's that we have our egos tied up so much in it. For somebody to go from being a vote blue, no matter who Democrat into a person who would consider voting for Donald Trump, they're going to have to engage in cognitive pain. They're going to have their own egos be bruised. And so people whose identity is wrapped up in that, it's a very long trip for them. Not to mention the fact that these media companies use every rhetorical brainwashing trick in the book to turn them into these parrots of the central narrative. So it's a real serious trick. I think of RFK Jr.'s biggest contribution to this effort has been his membership in a relatively ancient political dynasty, a Democrat dynasty, giving some people permission to make the switch.
Yeah. And I can speak to exactly what you were talking about because that happened to me. And yeah, it was a very difficult time for a while. And then obviously everything becomes normal in a much better reality. But yeah, it's really difficult for people to do because they understand, because they're told constantly and it's reinforced that they're going to lose their social life. They might lose their financial life. Everything that they've identified as moral and good is wrong and has to flip over. So there's a lot there, and people recognize those challenges, and then they just think that they'll get away with it. And that's part of what it is in that mindset. You're like, we'll just ride it out. Trump will go away. And honestly, man, the uniparty right people have the same problem. The Trump haters on the so-called right, the neocons and whatnot, those people have the same problem. They just thought they could ride it out. They wanted to usher Trump off the stage, silence MAGA again. This problem is just going to go away and we can keep on moving forward. We'll just give it these 4 years and then we'll take control again. And it ain't happening for them.
Yeah. I'm going to send you a video here. And Patrick, I'm going to have you play this. I'm going to put it in the private chat just because this stuff's being weird.
Good call. By the way, while we're pulling all that up, it's a YouTube
link. I want you to share it. And this is kind of going to segue us to our first topic tonight. This is something we talked about on Wednesday, but it's a very interesting thing that Trump said at a recent speech. I think it was on Wednesday when he gave this speech. And he's talking about this Iranian hack of his emails and how it is foreign election interference. It's a phrase that I don't think I've ever heard Trump say, but there's a lot of stuff that we can talk about surrounding this topic particularly. But let's listen to him first, and then we'll get into that.
Okay, here we go.
And look at what's happening to our world now. But no, Iran hacked into my campaign. I don't know what the hell they found. I'd like to find out. Couldn't have been too exciting. But they gave it to the Biden campaign. I can't believe it. Oh, yes, I can. But this is really foreign election interference. This is real election interference, not the phony crap that they've been trying to pin on me with Russia for years. Whatever happened to Russia? Remember the 51 intelligence agents? They said, no, the laptop from hell, it's Russia. No, it was Hunter.
That's probably good, Patrick.
Not that anybody cares, but 51 is 17 times 3. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I want you guys to think for a second. Out of all the times that Trump has said, like, our elections are stolen, they're going to use mail-in ballots to steal the election, the election was rigged, like over and over and over again for the past 3-4 years. Have you ever heard him say the phrase foreign election interference?
Not specifically that. I mean, election interference countless times, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely the first time I've ever heard him say that. The reason this is notable to me, like it brings me back to after he got indicted and was talking about, those intel agencies with the conducting illegal psychological warfare operations against American people, like a very specific phrasing of something. And this is what I said on Wednesday night. But this foreign election interference, this is a new phrase for him, and it's very relevant because that is Executive Order 13848. Like that's the phrasing used in there. And this email hack, it's fascinating to me, and for so many reasons. Number one, this is like a mirror image of what they accused Russia of doing to Hillary in 2016. So that's maybe number one. Number two is like, how can any of us verify that this is real? Like, I am not technically capable enough to go in and see whether or not his emails were actually hacked. Number three, none of the stuff that was hacked has actually been released, which is fascinating in its own right. And maybe that's it. Maybe I'll think of more later, but discuss, guys. Like, this is such a fascinating story that Trump is like pushing out there, and the mainstream media is not coming out denying it. And so like there's something weird here. Trump is directly saying it seems real, but I don't know.
Go ahead, Patrick, and then I want to introduce it. Yeah.
This is a war for the narrative. I don't particularly care about what's true and what's false. So I'm going to start with that. The mirror image of Iranian hacks is extremely potent within the central narrative, if you can get it in there, because it is indeed a mirror image of the accusations against Donald Trump, that it was the Russians. They hacked emails. They gave it to WikiLeaks. They stole it from John Podesta, all to make sure that Donald Trump could win. They're doing it in the exact opposite direction now with Executive Order 13848 in place. He uses the expression foreign election interference. It's Iran. I don't care. It's the blob. It could be completely made up, and it doesn't even matter. If it can give us the predicate we need to produce consent of the governed to bring these people to justice, then it will have done its job.
I like it.
Yep. So early August, we had a story about the Iranians hacking campaign emails using phishing emails or whatever. And then they had turned over JD Vance background research documents, right? The dossier on
story, yep.
JD Vance. And so then just a couple days after that, we had this where we got a story about a burglary of a Trump campaign office. And those stories were kind of linked. And then there was a, I mean, whatever that face is. And then there was oh yes. Whenever I see Roger Stone, I got to think, hey man, maybe that's like a little tip off that there's something else going on here.
You know, back in 2016, he was like the buzzword for, ooh, there's just diabolical shit going on, guys. We're the mainstream media, and we noticed that Roger Stone is involved. And you see Roger Stone go on Alex Jones. This is how I learned about Roger Stone's existence in the first place. And he's just a dude who finds him. He's like the Forrest Gump of politics. He finds himself in every little situation.
It's very true. It's such a weird story, the whole thing. But to me, like, why hasn't any of this information actually come out yet? Because you know, if there's anything negative about Trump, it would be out already. But they haven't. So did they not find anything, or is there a reason they're not coming out with this publicly yet?
Maybe it's one of the last things that they have that could actually catch headlines and cut off a different story, and so they're going to use it to blunt something. Otherwise, I don't know.
What could the October surprise be? You know, back in 2016, we got the pussy tape, or sorry, the pussy grab tape, or whatever you call it, Access Hollywood. And you know, back then I thought it was a death blow, and he just brushed it off like he was Godzilla. In 2020, did we get an October surprise, or was the whole damn year one big October surprise called COVID?
Be right back, guys.
The event that would have served as the October surprise would have been the Hunter Biden laptop.
Okay.
I mean, we don't think of it obviously going in that direction, but that has its own kind of narrative effect. The fact that the actual October surprise of that race was thwarted by the media. They were like, no. We're not going to do this October surprise. We do our own October surprises.
It's a great point. You know, they killed the potential Donald Trump October surprise.
Yep.
Did the enemy have an October surprise?
I guess we're going to probably get to that, Patrick, in the next few weeks on Hindsight 2020, and we
might end up doing that.
I think we will recognize it when it happens. John, you are in high definition now.
Yeah, you look great, but
Very
you don't
quiet.
have sound.
No
sound from John. I see your microphone is not muted.
How's that?
There we go.
I switched to Brave browser, so like maybe I don't know.
I think that you're getting jacked with, dude. With 60 megabits per second upload speed, you should be coming in pretty sharp.
Well, maybe it's the browser because you look great right now, and hopefully you sound good.
We'll see what happens.
That's true.
So,
I had to switch back to Brave myself too. Yeah. Chrome was giving me issues.
I use Brave.
Use Brave as well.
You were asking what the October surprise might be relative to Kamala. Is anyone here familiar with Crazy Days and Nights? The entertainment lawyer in Los Angeles who like posts these kind of semi-cryptic messages. There's one from 2018 that Garrett Ziegler posted the other day. And it's about Kamala, and it's pretty hardcore, man. And with the stuff about all right, the stuff with like this is one of those things though that I want everybody in the audience to understand. I have no way of verifying this, and I don't think anybody else does either until it happens. So, you know, I get hesitant sometimes because I don't want to be irresponsible, but
Patrick likes being irresponsible though.
Yeah, so. I do. Just give me the link and I'll take full responsibility, dude.
Speaking of Garrett Ziegler real quick though, I know CanCon is looking to host a debate about the laptop between Garrett Ziegler and some other guy, some liberal. That's going to be soon. That'll be fun.
Wait. Is that actually going to happen?
That's going to happen soon.
Oh, fantastic.
He was scheduling time.
Slaughter that guy.
I would think so. It's, what do you say? He asked, can I host a debate over the Biden laptop on Badlands? It'd be Garrett Ziegler and some Harris Walls simp. His name is Piscolotti or Piscolitti.
Oh.
I don't know. Some guy recently from
like
Devo Fray.
Pina Colada, but
no. But also on Badlands coming up soon. Next week, we have General Flynn going on our Q show, Eye of the Storm. We also have Michael fucking Saylor going on Rug Pull Radio, which blows my mind.
We need to put this in context for the non-crypto people in the audience, okay? Michael Saylor is like the Elon Musk of Bitcoin. I am stunned that he's coming on. Stunned.
He also, I mean, man, who will he be? Some sort of Treasury Secretary or something? That dude's going to have a big role.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, sorry for that little tangent. But okay, let me pull up the
Kudos
screen.
to Badlands, though. Kudos to the Eye of the Storm guys, and
kudos to
Rug
Money.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay.
Blind. Yeah. This is from Crazy Days and Nights. It's from Friday, June 29th, 2018. Blind item number 8. It is well known that this female politician who was being talked about as a possible future president started her career by having a relationship with a married senior politician in her state. For this, she was appointed to a number of part-time boards with hefty salaries. What isn't so well known is the senior politician she had an affair with used to take her to swinger parties, which were basically glorified orgies, where she would engage in sex with large numbers of men and women. What not even she knows is there are compromising pictures of her at these orgies, which is why senior leaders from her party are quietly trying to discourage her presidential ambitions. And the leader of the other party, the current president, is very excited about running against her being her party's nominee.
Well, so, I mean, they're obviously talking about Kamala here.
Yeah, very obvious.
What is this from?
CrazyDaysandNights.net.
Chris, you're muted.
It's this entertainment lawyer from Hollywood who writes this, who has written this for many, many years, essentially just as an anon. I guess there are people who have guesses on who he is, but I don't think his identity has been revealed.
I'll tell you something. There are ways for people with lots of power to take down websites. So the first question I would ask is, what efforts have been made by people to take down this website? You could start off by saying, all right, I'm a good guy and I want this website taken down because this is purely defamation over and over again. But the site persists, unburdened by what has been.
So the pictures obviously haven't been released publicly yet.
No,
no.
Like, how do we know any of this is real?
Well,
we
of
don't.
course
We have no idea.
Yeah, that's the point. This guy said this thing in 2018, but now we're watching the Diddy thing happen, and these circles are kind of closing in. You asked, what's a possible October surprise? Well, this would be a possible October surprise. We heard, we talked about this at Gart Deadwood. There was the Bob Woodward report about how there was an October surprise waiting for Harris and Biden. I mean, I guess we'll see what all this amounts to. Maybe it's nothing, but yeah, that doesn't sound like something that is impossible to believe.
Yeah, and not only that, if patriots are in control, it would make sense that the first thing you would do is run against the corpse, and then the second thing you would do is run against the retarded prostitute with a drinking problem.
The other interesting thing here is, Patrick, because, you know, this is in 2018 and he was talking about her running in 2020. And so obviously, you know, she took a shot at that. And then for whatever reason, this decrepit old man who was mentored by a Klansman was just thrust into the #1 position. Jim Clyburn fired up the old election fraud machine down in South Carolina, and all of a sudden, Joe Biden was the nominee. And then we heard it was going to be some black woman that they were going to choose as VP. And then, you know, Kamala got shoehorned in there. So, man, this post would have made a lot of sense if we were having this discussion 4 years ago. Now, looking back and thinking about that pause period and what that was meant to kind of show the country, gosh, man, this thing maps. I mean, that doesn't mean it's true by any means. I have no idea and no way to prove that, but it maps.
It maps. Now, I just want to make sure that the chat understands my position. Not that this is defamation worthy of a lawsuit, but that someone can publicly call for the site to be taken down on the grounds that it's not fair to have these anonymous attacks. I'm just wondering, has Crazy Days and Nights had to defend itself against lots of people trying to take it down, either legally or extra legally or even illegally? I'm curious about that. We have seen incredibly illegal things happen when it comes to taking stuff down. For example, Amazon Web Services pulling Parler down right after January 6th.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, that's illegal, what they did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I went to the Wayback Machine and it's out there back in like 2019, shortly after it was published. So what are they going to do? But this is like one angle of October surprise. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? And this is what's so interesting about these next few months. Like we've seen people using ChatGPT to, like, you know, game out what's going to happen. Some very interesting things are being said. Like it's the final countdown. And we've been speculating for months how this might play out, and we're almost there. And
you just called it the next few months. We ain't got.
Are we like weeks? I don't even know.
We ain't got 2 months.
I don't even know anymore.
We've got less than 2 months, and I'm not going to lie, it gives me a little bit of anxiety.
Yeah, I feel that. Because where I'm at now, it's like I don't even see how they let this election go through because. No. But maybe that almost leads us into our next topic that I want to get to is, you know, if they could come up with an excuse to not hold this election, you know, they would do it. Like if they could get us into a few world wars and be like, you know what, guys, we just can't. We're in the middle of this war with Iran. We're in the middle of this war with Ukraine. We can't have this next election until this shit's resolved a little bit. but our military is kind of like, you know what? Fuck that. Fuck you guys. We ain't doing that. Maybe this is a good segue. Maybe I should play this video quick. This is the video that Ghost of Base Patrick Henry had found, and it's kind of a long one, but
if you want to give it to me to play, might be.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. I just gotta find it here. Here we go. Let's take a listen. Let me send this to you in the private chat. I'm getting a little ahead of myself too, because I was gonna play a Trump clip about the Iran stuff, but we'll circle back to it.
All right, got it. X.com. Sharing now.
Now this guy's name is Colonel Wilkerson, and he's doing an interview with is it
Judge Napolitano?
Okay,
yeah,
right.
and Wilkerson used to be the chief of staff for Colin Powell during the George W. Bush administration.
Dang. So he was the chief of staff for total sleazebag.
As Secretary of State, yes.
Yep,
So dealing with all of the, in Benz's terms, blob interactions.
Doesn't mean that he's a sleazebag. I just want to make sure that I'm not trying to cast aspersions on this gentleman. Don't know anything about him. So here we go.
I think what we're seeing here is another attempt, because the 100-plane strike didn't do it, by Netanyahu to provoke Hezbollah to some sort of action that he can then declare is warlike, to the extent that he can do what he wants to do with them. Even though I'm told with great confidence in the source says that the latest 2 visits by the Central Command Unified Commander were to tell him that we would not be with him in the event of his going to war with Hezbollah that he provoked, nor would we be with him going to war with Iran that he provoked. And we made it quite clear that we.
Okay, so right off the bat here, we're 40 seconds in. What he's saying is Netanyahu is almost trying to provoke this response from Hezbollah or Hamas or Iran, whatever. Maybe not whatever, I don't know. But he's trying to basically provoke this response so that he can be justified in his response to get into this war. And what Colonel Wilkerson is saying is our combatant commander for that area, Karilla, I think his name is, CENTCOM, is like, yeah, we're not going to be with you on that. Like, you do whatever you want, but we are not joining you in your quest to get involved in this war over there. So provoke away, but we're distancing ourselves.
And without the United States, they don't have the muscle to do this. Is that the subtext?
Maybe, but we'll keep going here because it gets even more interesting. But that's where we're at so far. I just wanted to clarify that.
All right. Hey, Ghost of Base Patrick Henry, nice job on this tweet, by the way. All right, here we go.
We would know if he provoked it. So I have to declare
you're
that.
Speaking of General Karilla.
Yes. Yes.
So Scott Ritter agrees with you. Doug McGregor says he can't imagine Austin and Blinken letting General Karilla do that. It's very, very interesting. Is this, forgive me, Colonel, is this speculation on your part, or is it based on sources?
Promotion accepted.
I want to be there for it.
It's based on some pretty reliable sources. And here's the bigger picture. And I hope the others told you this too. Biden's fury, and you could see it. He was seething when he met with the British Prime Minister.
Yes, we have that clip. He was out of control with anger.
And what he'd just been told, apparently, was by the Pentagon, no dice, Mr. President. No dice on Ukraine and no dice on Gaza.
Now,
and we're in charge now.
No dice, you're talking about no dice on the long-range missiles reaching deep into Russia, even though Tony Blinken had intimated all week in Kyiv with his British counterpart that this was happening. And Sir Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, had every reason to believe as he's flying across the Atlantic that Joe Biden's answer would be yes.
He was embarrassed. He was embarrassed by the fact he was pulling out his maps with target data. And Biden told him, don't even pull them out. We're not going to talk about that. I've been told, again, by fairly reliable sources, that Blinken and Sullivan, Blinken primarily, but Sullivan too, have been sidetracked. And what's happened is the Pentagon has taken over essentially diplomacy as well as any action, militarily speaking, with regard to both theaters of war. And so they're now in charge. I have to change my evaluation of Secretary Austin if that's the case, because it means he listened finally to the people in the bowels of the Pentagon who know the truth, and he's reacting to that, and he's told President Biden that, and to Biden's credit, even though he was furious, he finally took that advice.
Colonel, you once ran the State Department. How does the Defense Department engage in diplomacy?
They engage in diplomacy every day. Every day. They're 4-stars in the various sanctums, the regions that they control, the AORs, are the true U.S. diplomats. And some of them are very good at it. I saw some of them. I worked with some of them who are very good at it, better than any Secretary of State. But it shouldn't be that way. That's a parenthetical remark. We shouldn't have the military leading diplomacy, but we often do. And Japanese Prime Minister once told me why, to my face. He said, Larry, when your East Asia and Pacific Assistant Secretary comes out here, he's not got anything but his briefcase. When the man from Honolulu comes out here, from Camp Smith in Hawaii, comes out here, he's towing air wings, submarines, battle groups, marine amphibious groups, army divisions. I listened to him. This is the Prime Minister of Japan.
Who told General
let's pause it.
to tell Prime Minister?
So where we're at right now is, and this is basically the meat of what Ghost said in this thread. And honestly, for those of you who are here watching this, the Devolution series, the underlying theory is Trump devolved his authority to other people. I've speculated that it's possibly the combatant commanders, and these are the people that might be the only ones in the know. But what this guy is saying, Wilkerson, is based on his sources. So we haven't verified this ourselves, but based on what he's saying, according to his sources, the Pentagon has been, he says the Pentagon, but it's the combatant commander in that area, Kurilla, CENTCOM, has basically usurped control from the White House, the CIA, the State Department on diplomacy over there. Like, Biden wants to do all these things, the State Department wants to do all these things, and CENTCOM is like, yeah, no, we're not doing any of that stuff. We're not going to let you send long-range missiles into Russia, number one, which is familiar. That's a familiar story when you think back to the HIMAR rockets that they were trying to send over there, but it was our military who messed with them in the software to not allow that to happen. And then same with the Israel war going on right now. Our military is saying no to the White House.
Do you remember like a year ago when there were reports that Elon Musk wouldn't allow Starlink to be used to help Ukraine's drone attacks? And it was the same thing. And I said, isn't that strange that the largest defense contractor could simply decide not to go along with what the so-called president and his administration want, and absolutely nothing happens?
How is any of this possible?
There's no one in the world who has an explanation for this, who isn't like either us or in the audience or actually involved.
Anybody who has access to the central narrative, anybody who has access to large platforms does not have an answer for this. The only thing that I know of that fits this is the Devolution Framework, originally put out there by various people, but really fleshed out by John Harold. And the Devolution series, devolution.link, for any of you who haven't gotten there, that's where you want to start. Bear in mind, this gentleman is saying, I have sources, blah, blah, blah. Okay, he's still a blob chief of staff, regardless of his patriotism or not. He's part of that same, he has been at one point in his life, part of that same machine. However, I think it's also fair to speculate that people within the Devolution Framework feel at some point that they need to start disclosing some of this stuff. And an incident like this would be a great time to do it. When did we actually reveal that we were devolved? Well, when they decided they wanted to bomb Moscow, the psychos. Well, that would be a good moment.
That's what's interesting about this, though. Like, there's been multiple times in the past few years where there's been these contradictions that have taken place that, you know, a possible explanation for this might be devolution. But it's almost like it's brushed, like the story comes out, there's no explanation for it, and people just almost forget it even happened. And then recently, we're starting to get these stories that come out, and finally, we're getting explanations for them. But like, think of the actions that we've seen with Ukraine and Russia versus the talk we've seen from the current administration, the State Department, the CIA, NATO, all these countries. Like, their talk about Russia, you would think that we would have every single one of these countries with boots on the ground. We would be, Russia would be decimated by now, but that hasn't been what we've seen. We haven't seen that at all. Like, they won't even, they're afraid to put their boots on, or they can't put their boots on the ground. Doesn't make sense. That's a contradiction. The fact that, the Biden administration negotiating to get back into the Iran nuclear deal, and while we're bombing Iranian backed militias, contradictions don't make sense. What is the explanation for some of this shit? Here we're finally starting to get explanations. I think back to last week when, we've known forever that these campaigns, the Democratic campaigns, have been colluding with the media and getting the talking points before these debates, getting the questions, if not the other way around. Even like you said, Chris, the campaigns are feeding them the questions to ask ahead of time. And all of a sudden last week, we have a whistleblower come out, like for the first time ever, to actually spill the beans on this stuff. It's like they're finally starting to give these explanations to these stories. And it's coming in these last few weeks before this election.
Well, I mean, if everybody's on board by the time November 5th rolls around, what happens in the quote unquote votes, is irrelevant. And we might just think for a second about whether or not military government is, he just described a history of the military controlling foreign policy. That's not the proper constitutional order unless something else is going on, or the military would have usurped that constitutional order. We went over the International Crisis Group report on Venezuela a month ago or something.
Yeah.
And in that report, one of the key things was whether or not the military would side with Maduro. And they did at the time, and they have since. And that came up again in, the recent Venezuela stuff. And it's always been the same way. The military's on that side. They have three tools. We've talked about this a bunch of times. They have the propaganda media. They have the control over finance, currencies, and economies. And then ultimately they have the media. And the propaganda hasn't worked. The currency controls haven't worked. And it's not just that it hasn't worked in the United States. It hasn't worked around the world. And the military is the last part of that. It doesn't seem like, well, clearly the fake president does not have control over anything, but maybe it's just been like this for a lot longer than we understand.
Yeah, but they're finally starting to talk about it now, which
yeah, because they're trying to transition out of that, and Trump is the vehicle to transition out of that.
Yeah, it almost gets my hopes up a little bit. Like, for a while there was like, oh, they're going to reveal devolution, all these things, Trump's going to come back. Didn't happen that way. And so then I kind of went to the other side of the spectrum, like, well, it probably does make more sense that the best way to do this is in a way that none of this ever gets revealed. Like, it's a totally organic type of Trump return to office, not through the voting system, but at least the people demanding him back. But now it's like, with the way they're revealing and disclosing these things, like this, this is one of the bigger devolution proofs that I can think of. Like, direct, hey, military is in some form of control, not letting the Biden administration do something they want to do here. Like, that hits the nail pretty much directly on the head. We haven't had one of those in maybe, like, this might be the most direct one I can think of. I don't think we've ever had one this direct. Like, so maybe we are going to get some sort of more direct reveal sooner than later. I don't know.
I think there has to be one, because otherwise all we've done is go from one set of lies to another set of lies. Like, I think that there has to be a way to move out of that if they really do want to return power to the people. Go ahead, Patrick. Sorry.
I don't necessarily believe that they want to return power to the people. I think there's always a possibility that one set of oligarchs gets replaced with a better set of oligarchs. And this might be a much longer transition to self-government. My team is the guys that are at least moving us in the direction of more government transparency. I don't think they have to reveal the entire devolution framework, though. For example, I don't think they're going to reveal that the moon landing was faked.
Well,
That's too much.
Is that part of the devolution framework, though?
No, it's not. But what Chris said was, we're just going to be exchanging one set of lies for another. And however we come out of this, we're keeping a whole bunch of very precious lies. I'm very sure of that.
Well, we shall see. I would argue that they maybe are showing people that the moon landing is fake when they tell us that an asteroid is very close and it's 620,000 miles away, and the whole story is ridiculous. They told us this week that there was going to be a second moon. Elon keeps talking about shooting people off to Mars. The spacewalk thing was an absolute joke. You know, Patrick, I texted you this morning, like, you got to understand that from the left's perspective, Elon like pulled the rug on climate change for those people. You don't think there are any rugs left to pull about the things
Can you explain that? Can you explain that?
Explain that one. I was going to ask you. I was like,
okay.
Because first of all, Elon was Mr. Climate Change in his early years of being super famous dude.
Right. Does he seem like he's Mr. Climate Change anymore?
No, but I don't know about the rug pull aspect of it.
Oh, I don't see, even just admitting that far, I think you've already rug pulled all those people who loved him for Elon was going to save the world as far as they're concerned.
I mean, he did create a bunch of electric vehicles. Like, that is their gateway drug to saving the world, pretty much.
It's true.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
but they don't like him anymore.
Yeah.
Because of free speech.
And he doesn't talk about climate change anymore.
Elon Musk came to my attention back in, I want to say 2013, possibly 2014, in an article at a website called waitbutwhy.com. This dude, Tim Urban, wrote this hagiography to Elon Musk, referring to him as the raddest dude ever to live. And that's the first time I'd ever heard of Elon Musk. I was like, wow, this guy sounds pretty awesome. And so he was very much a darling of the central narrative in every way, because it turns out this Wait But Why website, definitely a mouthpiece of the establishment. It's basically like religion for atheists is the way I would describe that website. But anyway, long story short, I get it now. I see why you're saying that he rug pulled the climate change narrative.
Yeah. I just think that like that he was supposed to be the guy to save all that stuff, and now he's like, eh. Imagine what you have to think about climate change when it just kind of it's the biggest thing in the world, and then it disappears, and everybody finds out, oh, you were just using all of this to create a new energy infrastructure.
That could be
It's
true.
not,
That's
not about.
interesting.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's what it is. The battery technology and all that stuff.
I know we've talked about that before.
Yeah. And then
what about the boring company? I think that we have vast networks of underground tunnels already built. He's just starting the boring company, and he's going to say, hey guys, ignore all the dead bodies that our military killed down there in the Dumbs Wars. And now we have a three-dimensional highway system.
Yes.
That's very true. But think about that, like getting the left to advocate for, fund, and create the entire energy infrastructure you might need in the post-awakening like era. That's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. That's what they've done. And we have Michael Saylor on Rug Pull Radio on Badlands Media later this week. So just stay tuned for that.
I expect him to say the phrase, the velocity of money, at least once.
So one last thing about this, though, John. All of that stuff about the renewable energy, we heard about solar panels, we heard about windmills, and that was the big thing. We got to get these things everywhere. And so it was like, all right, take the money and put all that bullshit up. And then now all we hear about is how awful that stuff is for the environment.
It's true.
So the climate change agenda got rugged.
It got rugged hard. It's been rugged for years, as far as I could tell.
Yeah.
By Lord Christopher Monckton back in the day, really, really brought it down to its knees. But at this point, it's too easy to show that it's ridiculous. And it's really nice to see. They have a basic con strategy with something like climate change. They create a million different models, and then they just shoot down the models that fail, and they keep creating new models. And so they have a constantly rotating set of models that can be claimed as accurate. I think it's called the Texas sharpshooter fallacy, but I could be wrong about that. Anyway, it's just a big scam, and it can be shown to be such. Now, Elon Musk now comes out and he does things like shoots a Tesla into orbit, and then he says, well, it's real because it looks so fake. And that's amazing.
Yeah.
Nobody trying to be a serious proponent of this reality would say something that damning.
Yes, fantastic. The whole thing's fantastic.
It's really exciting. And then, of course, the spacewalk. Holy shit. That was designed to look as if it was made by retarded valley girls in a Van Nuys basement.
Oh my gosh. Chris, real quick, back to Wilkerson.
Yeah.
So this guy, you said he was the chief of staff for who again?
Colin Powell.
Colin Powell. Okay, so Colin Powell was there at the same time as Donald Rumsfeld, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think. Let me double check. I think Colin Powell was Secretary of State in the second term, but I haven't thought about this in a long time. So yes. Did you already check it, John? Or you just?
I did not check that. I brought that up because of Ezra's tweet. I just want to show that real quick because I think it's relevant. Ezra Cohen Watnick, yesterday. Yeah. So this would have been yesterday. Go ahead.
I was totally wrong, by the way. It was his first term, and I realized that before I even looked it up. Because of course he was the one with the vial trying to convince everybody.
Rumsfeld was Secretary of Defense at 9/11. Colin Powell was Secretary of State, going in front of Congress, showing a bunch of grainy satellite photos that totally mean we need to kill everybody. Yep. And they worked together to get us into that war.
Patrick, I just put a tweet in the private chat. If you could pull this up.
Got it.
I thought this was interesting and pretty relevant, especially considering this Wilkerson comment. So read this real quick.
Ezra A. Cohen on Twitter, known as Ezra Cohen Watnick. I disagree with many of his policy decisions, but what the Department of Defense needs is a leader like Secretary Rumsfeld, a man who crushed the worst behaviors of the Pentagon bureaucracy, worked harder than anyone, and strengthened civilian control of the military. So and then just for grins, can we check out this? Then McBride 0817 says, respectively, also mismanaged $2.3 trillion loss and announced just before 9/11. Where did it go? And Cohen responds, explain? He discovered the fraud, waste, and abuse committed, but the bureaucracy after being in the building for less than a year. He then came out publicly about it. What would you have him do differently? Who else has done this since? This is an interesting little back and forth.
Keep going.
Yeah.
You bet. So McBride 0817 says, start an investigation. By the way, this is a very small account on Twitter. And this is this is a nothing can stop what is coming type account. Follows me. So how do you like that? Start an investigation. Look into it. Hold people accountable. Get the inspector general to do something. Keep it on the front pages. To my knowledge, after 9/11, the whole thing just went away, never to be spoken of again. I liked Rumsfeld very much, but 2.3 trillion? Yikes. And Ezra Cohen. Let's go back to the 2.3 trillion claim. You are opposed to him identifying and calling out the bureaucratic fraud, waste, and abuse. I want to make sure I understand you correctly. No other SecDef, Secretary of Defense, I am aware of, has done this so bluntly out of fear they would lose their golden parachute. McBride responds, he spoke of it once publicly, and then what? Nothing. Why didn't he fire somebody? Why didn't he take this to President Bush and launch a special prosecutor? Did he ask Inspector General to do anything? You know more than I, but it seems after he said something, nothing. Watnick says, you have this wrong. He implemented quite a number of reforms to deal with the deep rot at DOD. Unfortunately, it's a 20-year project, which is why we need a hard-nosed leader at DOD immediately. McBride responds, good to know, and thank you. Funnily enough, Donald Rumsfeld died exactly 20 years later.
That is interesting. But what stuck out to me about this, Rumsfeld, especially on the heels, or maybe it was right before, or it was around the same time of this Wilkerson interview, is Rumsfeld was one of the first people to craft the modern day continuity government program that we have, allegedly. I mean, we don't know exactly what the current continuity government program is. Trump at the PPD 40 is classified, but based on what happened after 9/11, what they implemented then was a continuity of government program, and Rumsfeld was one of the designers and part of it, as well as the Secretary of Defense. And so it's just weird, like Ezra Cohen-Watnick starting to talk about, hey, we need this guy back, the last Secretary of Defense to implement a continuity of government program, on the heels of Wilkerson saying, hey, our Pentagon and combatant commanders being like, fuck you, White House, we ain't doing anything you tell us. Like it's weird. It's weird. And then also with that, this tweet that you sent, Chris, Patrick, do you want to pull up the tweet that is in the chat?
As a matter of fact, I deeply do. It's one of my favorite tweets ever.
Yeah.
Ezra Cohen-Watnick. The Washington Times says former NSA Director General Paul M. Nakasone opens new institute at Vanderbilt to train, quote, right type of leader. To which Ezra Cohen says, will this training include lessons on concealing information about election interference from Congress, violating intelligence community standards on intelligence analysis, leaking to the media, and politicization of the security clearance process, trying to understand the value add?
So what I found interesting about this is, like, Ezra Cohen-Watnick has been at least publicly anti-Nakasone for a while. Like, this is not new. There's been multiple times, multiple instances, even while Nakasone was in there, where Ezra Cohen-Watnick has come out against him. The part that sticks out to me is the part where he says concealing information about election interference from Congress. Ezra Cohen-Watnick, in his role as the ASD SOLIC, Special Operations Low Intensity Conflict Assistant Secretary of Defense, underneath, and he got promoted to that position underneath Christopher Miller. This is all in the wake of the stolen election. He is saying that, like, he was aware of election interference.
Yep.
That's a huge fucking deal. Like, Ezra Cohen-Watnick, one of the guys promoted in the aftermath of the stolen election, right after Chris Miller, like the day after Christopher Miller was placed as the acting Secretary of Defense, it was the day Ezra Cohen-Watnick and Kash Patel were put in there in the Department of Defense. Kash Patel's Chief of Staff, Ezra Cohen-Watnick as Assistant Secretary of Defense. He's saying here that there was election interference publicly.
Yeah.
That is a massive, massive thing. Like, does that make, am I making this clear enough?
Yes. What does this look like if Ezra Cohen is telling the truth about each one of these claims, and there is an example from reality that backs each one of these claims up and is simultaneously a threat or a taunt to the regime that is unable to stop this sort of thing? Because I've begun feeling like they are taunting the other side all the time when they'll talk shit about their own people, but it will always make the other side look bad and like they got tricked.
I love that. That's a great point. They are definitely doing that. It does feel like this is taunting, but to me, this is like an admission, like, hey, I was at the Department of Defense, the military, after the stolen election, and I'm telling the public right here that there was election interference, something that would, be an act of war, maybe. Like, what, did we just walk away from that? Did we all just simultaneously walk away from that? That's the part that is, like, blowing my mind.
Well, here's what's blowing my mind.
That
Ezra Cohen-Watnick, who was the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations and Low Intensity Conflict, which is the exact domain where this type of war takes place, accused the former NSA director of capital treason against the United States in public.
Yep.
That's a big fucking deal.
You could say that. You could say that.
Speaking of treason claims, Joe Lang's recent article was a whole lot of fun. And I recommend highly that everybody listen to Patrick's reading of it. You can find that on Badlands Media by scrolling back a couple days.
Yeah, right here on Badlands Media. It's awesome. It's very much in need of a part 2, which is currently being worked on. And I'm very excited about that because it's not just about Benghazi. It's about, guys, if you haven't checked out Joe Lang's work on Badlands Media, it's really intense stuff. He's one of the best Q proofs guys out there, other than, the Devolution series. He's one of the best devolution proof guys out there. Got to check him out.
He's super solid. A couple people in the chat are asking for a little more clarification, significance of this. So what I believe happened here with devolution, right? Like Trump saw the election was stolen. He considered it an act of war. He had everything he needed to interdict in the election on January 20th, interdict in Biden's inauguration, but instead he decided to walk away. In doing so, he implemented a period of irregular warfare. Like he put in place this framework for an irregular warfare period to wake up the people, right? That's what irregular warfare is. Ezra Cohen-Wadnick, as the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations and Low Intensity Conflict, literally his office wrote the handbook, the irregular warfare annex to our defense manual. Like they wrote that, and that came out a month before the election, October 2nd of 2020. That came out, and you can go to devolution.link part 22 and check that out. Irregular warfare is a huge part of what we're going through. It's psyops.
Yep.
And this guy is telling us now that there was election interference. This is another level of confirmation of everything in the devolution series. Like Ezra Cohen-Wadnick is such a huge name, and he's talking about election interference. He was there at the end. Like this is so big. Like these are two of the bigger devolution spoofs we've had in months, I would say, and they've happened in back-to-back days.
Joe Lang talks a lot about Ezra Cohen-Wadnick and how he is he's like the super soldier who keeps getting stuck in positions where he's needed the most. He gets to be Jeff Sessions's chief of staff at one point, chief of staff for intelligence.
After he left the NSC.
Yeah, and then he goes over to Oracle for a bit after he finally gets successfully pushed out by H.R. McMaster, or pushed out by somebody. I don't remember whether it was H.R. McMaster. Okay. Everything about this is coming to a head in a big, big way right before the 2024 election becomes the biggest clown show the world has ever known.
Yeah, I think he went NSC, and he was brought in by Flynn to the NSC. He was part of that hit list squad, which you can read all about this in part 23. And then he left to Oracle, and then he came back to under Sessions at the DOJ, and then he went into the DOD again.
Yeah, this is getting real, guys. I recall just early on in the info war, John, I know that you were on this Quadvirum site where we first started connecting, and you had Thomas Wichter out there, and Thomas Wichter and Brian Cates were so good about bringing our attention to Ezra Cohen-Wadnick super early, right off the bat.
Wasn't he in the Q drops or something?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can find him all over the place.
Well,
and he's so young too.
You should find the date of when he was in there.
You got it. I'm on
it. John, I don't mean to divert us or steer us to a next topic, but if we go back to Wilkerson, one of the things that we were talking about is how much somebody might know about devolution if they're not involved in it. And the truth is that a lot of people have ignored devolution completely and ignored Q completely because they believe that these are subjects for conspiracy theorists. So what they've done is ignore entire bodies of knowledge. And that has happened at multiple levels and has been saturated across the level, right? So if there are, let's say 200 people who are quote unquote, not in the mainstream media, they're independent now. And they're the people that go on each other's podcasts. They're the bigger influencers. All of these people who imagine that they are very, very serious people.
Work at Tenet Media.
Right, exactly. They have agreed that Q and devolution are not serious, and they can take reputational hits if they involve themselves with these bodies of knowledge or if they talk directly about them. And so it's basically just this unspoken cultural rule that no one goes to these bodies of knowledge. And it turns out that if the correct answers are within those bodies of knowledge and not within the central narrative, then everything they have to work with, all of the analysis they do on the basis of what they have to work with is inevitably going to be wrong. They don't even have access to where the right answers are. And because no one in their circles ever talks about this stuff, and the people who do, they don't take seriously, it just all gets rejected. And you can go on at a very high level, intimately involved in ancillary situations that are basically just bumping up right against the thing, but not part of the thing. And you can miss it entirely. And the quote, one of these clips that I was just amazed by from the Ben's interview is, this guy, Sean Ryan, I guess he was former Intel or something, former Special Forces. I don't know his background. Somebody in the chat's going to know his background. But Mike Benz is talking to him, and Sean Ryan for this entire podcast. And this is not a knock on Sean Ryan, who's well ahead of the Megyn Kellys and the Dave Rubins and the Daily Wires of the world.
But that's really not saying that much.
It's not saying that much. That's correct. But he's way ahead of them. He hasn't heard any of this stuff. And it's a 2.5 hour conversation before this point. And with the foreign policy stuff, the view on the world and how foreign policy actually operates. And Benz doesn't even take him all the way there, but he has no idea what's happening. This clip is incredible because you can just see that he's never heard any of this stuff. And Mike Benz is like, what do you mean? It's fantastic.
It's really good. Yeah. If we can get sound,
we got to pull it up.
Supports any sort of détente with Russia after the sanctions push in the UK. And then the Trump election happened in the US in November 2016, a few months later. And the idea that this was just a sort of military operation confined to controlling the information environment all the way out in Central Eastern Europe, everything dropped out. US citizens, US news companies, US social media platforms, we all got caught in the crossfire. And now how much is the Grand Ukraine energy play worth? Is it worth the First Amendment? Is it worth having the government control the...
Why weren't they just honest?
Honest to who?
You're the only one I've heard talk about this.
Oh,
about
you should go to their YouTube channel. They talk about it more plainly than I do. This is one of the things that was so funny when I was getting involved in this in 2016, 2017 is I would be watching 8 hours worth of these censorship industry conferences.
No.
And they'd be laced between energy conferences.
I'm not talking about the censorship. I'm talking about the gas. I'm talking about the reason we're there. I've not heard this.
Really important context here. Can you
everybody
pause this quick for a second?
It's never discussed.
This conversation that they're having right now began because Sean Ryan asked the question. I know this is crappy to say, but if this Burisma plan had worked, wouldn't it have been really good for us because of all the cheap liquefied natural gas that the United States could have sold to all these countries, and it would have really hit Russia's bottom line? And Benz comes out and he says, I'm not really worried about the right and wrong of the deal thing. I'm talking about free speech here. And that's how this began. So just for a little bit of context.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, keep going.
Between energy conferences.
I'm not talking about the censorship. I'm talking about the gas. I'm talking about the reason we're there. I've not heard this. Everybody, it's never discussed.
Well, if you spend a minute in their world, in their own conferences, at their own meetings, I mean, you can go to their YouTube page right now. Just go to the Atlantic Council's YouTube page. Go to Globsec's YouTube page. Go to the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace's YouTube page. Go to the Wilson Center's YouTube page.
Even in Putin's statements, he's not talking about the gas, is he?
He was.
He's talking about the U.S. taking Crimea for gas.
He talks about that stuff. I mean, he talks about
he's like
this
dumbfounded
play of them trying to, go through with this energy diversification somewhat frequently. I feel this. I mean, they said that we were the ones who blew up the Nord Stream pipelines, but then I believe he told Tucker Carlson, well, because Tucker Carlson asked, "Hey, why don't you talk about the Nord Stream pipeline if you think we blew it up? Why don't you make your case on the world stage?" And if you remember what he said the U.S. owns the propaganda apparatus. It's basically feudal. We have diplomatic communications and everyone knows what's up, but we can't compete with the media. So, what can we say?
Wow.
Sean, I don't want to dump on Sean Ryan too much because he's having Mike Pence. No, he's having Mike Benz on there. Mike Benz, I listened to this conversation 2 times. It was that interesting to me, not because it was new information for me, but because it was so great to hear a guy as sharp as Mike Benz never miss a friggin' beat. He came at it. So you have Sean Henry. That's Sean Ryan. Yeah. Sean Ryan, not the Sean Henry guy. Sean Ryan saying it's never discussed. And you can't appreciate this unless you watch Mike Benz's face. It is, oh, bro, you're kind of embarrassing yourself here, man. It's like you came to a lecture without having done the homework.
Yeah.
Because there's no question that this stuff has been out there. And I'm seeing in the chat, they're also gobsmacked that he had never heard of any of this. If you're a viewer of Badlands Media, this is old hat to you. We have one of the best products out there at this network. And of course, we are, other than Rumble and X, we are radically suppressed. Right now on our YouTube channel, we've got 85 people watching, and they'll ban our asses so fast it'll make our heads spin.
Yep, we're on our So we've had 4 official accounts. We didn't even talk about the one that we're streaming to, our Badlands Clips channel. But we had Mike Benz on for an interview. I interviewed him back in March of 25. But what blows my mind is like Sean Ryan. Patrick, did you not know we interviewed Mike Benz?
24.
You didn't interview him in 25 though.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. I'm a time traveler. But
okay.
Yeah, it was 20, sorry, March 20. It was March 25th of 2024.
There you go. Lovely. Okay, got it.
But Sean Ryan, like, this dude talks to a lot of people. Like he had a 3-part episode with Chris Miller.
Yep.
Like this dude is connected, and for him to like not be aware of some of the shit, the basic level like what's going on shit that Mike Benz is talking about is kind of it's almost worrisome.
This stuff isn't talked about. He says this stuff isn't talked about, and Benz is just like deer in the headlights. Like
where the fuck have you been?
To make fun of you, but you're a retard.
That was the look he was giving.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is worrisome. It should be very worrisome, particularly for people who have a whole lot of money and no idea what's happening in the world. I posted about this today. It could be that Sean Ryan's an op and Mike Benz is an op, and this is just an op, and we're learning about this stuff at the pace people have decided we're learning this about. And if that's the case, put it off to the side. It is what it is. We can't affect that at all.
Although it's gay, but yes. Okay.
Right. So if it's not that, then we only have a couple of options. One is that we're talking about people with terrible discernment, or we're talking about a totally polluted information stream and a lot of kind of social incentives that keep people from looking at this stuff, which is also its own brand of discernment, as I mentioned before. But the fact is, this knowledge gap exists even with people in kind of the elite or, close to elite classes in this country, including in industries that rely heavily on this sort of knowledge. And that is a multi-billion, if not multi-trillion-dollar problem in the world right now. The fact that people who are actual decision makers have no clue whatsoever that any of this stuff is happening.
If that's true, we don't know that that's true.
That what is true?
That major decision makers genuinely don't know this. They could be faking it.
Could be.
On some level, maybe that's possible. I know people in fairly powerful positions who reject all of this stuff and wanted to vote for Ron DeSantis, who, by the way, in this interview, Mike Benz mentions as the reason that no one ever went after DeSantis the way they went after Trump is that DeSantis is aligned with the global regime's agenda.
Yeah, the foreign policy agenda. And that is a big part of the global regime. As long as you keep allowing us to murder people by the bushel and get rich from it, you can do whatever you want to the peasants at home.
Well, more
feels like an op.
Yes, 100%. I agree with you. I think that there's another step to that too, which is that for them on that level, they don't give a shit about the controlled opposition cultural nonsense that Fox News and MSNBC bicker back and forth about. Like, what do they care about trans nonsense when they are trying to take over entire countries to achieve the one world international rules-based order, right? They don't give a shit about whether or not Florida is where woke goes to die.
Yes.
Florida is where woke goes to change teams.
Yes.
Like
That's such a good point.
You know, the stuff that normal Americans fight about because the TV made them mad is utterly irrelevant to the people who are actually making decisions in the world.
Yes, it is very true, which is why the Daily Wire can get rich being the leading producer of trans content the world has ever known.
Well, isn't that part of the color revolution playbook too? Like
Yes.
but part of the revolution needs to be like ideology. I fucking hate that word. It needs to be based on like an ideology, and it's like it's shifted to it's not just trans shit, but it's like abortion and trans. It's like the my body, my choice type ideology is what that war has become. That's the culture war right now. And
Yeah.
it's totally part of the subversion in this cultural revolution. But yeah, this is concerning. It does feel like an op, like based on everything else that's happened this last week, 2 weeks, whatever. I hope it's an op. Like this is like the op where we're gonna start playing dumb, asking the right questions, disclosing the stuff to the media or to the public. Because if it's not that, like I said earlier, it's concerning that somebody like Sean Ryan, who served overseas, special ops, like didn't he interview some terrorist dude or like some Middle Eastern guy who got killed by the CIA? Or I don't remember. But that dude, for him being in that position and not having any idea about what Mike Pence was talking about when Mike Pence didn't even go all the way there, like that's insane to me. Like that doesn't make sense.
Remember, Tucker Carlson pretended not to know about AIPAC giving a minder to every member of Congress. And he was effective. He was believable in saying he didn't know. Now, I have enough faith in him to know that he was lying. And Sean Ryan might also be prevaricating.
Well, let's play with that for a second. Well, go ahead, Gross.
Well, I was just going to say about the color revolutions. I was doing prep for Hindsight 2020 and went down a color revolution rabbit hole on Belarus in 2020 and Lukashenko fighting off a color revolution to be reinaugurated. It just that whole playbook is becoming just so obvious now. And you have to remember that things really are operating at that level. They are trying to overthrow countries and make sure that they can get the military on the side of the person that they want to install. Like that's the game for all the marbles. It's not all the silly shit that we see on TV.
Well, okay, this is perfect timing for a plug of mine. This week, this last Thursday, I did part 12 of my series, which is The Playbook, talking about the color revolution here in America and how they hit all those check marks. It's almost fascinating how overseas they were using Russia as the boogeyman. Like they overthrew so many Russia-backed and pro-Russia leaders in Europe. Mm-hmm. The State Department, the CIA, they fabricated a Russia connection with Trump and used that, like literally the same playbook, to overthrow him here.
Yep.
You guys should go check out that recap series this week. I go through Patrick reading the articles. I stop it along the way, give my commentary. It's pretty fun, and it's fun rehashing that shit. But it's also very enlightening. Like that article specifically, going through the tip report from 2020, it blew my mind. If you guys
Transition and Integrity Project,
the Transition Integrity Project, also my favorite subheading of the entire series, just the tip. You guys need to to read that report that they put together. It's absolutely fascinating. The shit they pulled, the shit they predicted, not the shit they outlined for the regime to do during the 2020 election. They called it all, like everything. You guys got to go read that stuff. It's hindsight 2020. That's got to be coming up. You might have already passed that, even that report coming out.
Maybe. Let me see. That would be terrible if I missed that somehow.
The tip report came out August 3rd of 2020. They released the report. But well, you guys can do that at any point. But you should read that. But yeah, man, the Mike Benz. Were there any of the clips that you wanted to read? Or
well, there's one where he explains the blob. I don't think we need to go through that. And then there's the one that he talks about DeSantis that I already talked about. I highly recommend everybody listen to that.
Watch the whole thing at 1.5 speed or 1.25 speed. It can get you through it faster. It's worth maybe even listening to a second time. It helps to watch some of the expressions on Mike Benz's face, just to see the gap between the expected knowledge of the people who are allowed to have 3 million subscribers on YouTube and the people who are relegated to the hinterlands of the internet. I'm not naming names where that's concerned.
Rumble isn't the hinterlands. I don't even know what the hinterlands are, but I know Rumble's not quite that.
Apparently there was another transition integrity project this year, by the way.
Yes, there was.
Oh dear.
Oh, by the way, the War Game documentary.
Oh, did you see it?
No, it streams though to like everywhere, Prime Video anyway, on September 27th. I think we should do a watch party.
That'd be fun. Yeah, let's do it. What day is that? So that's Friday.
We'll probably get sued.
I'm down. Maybe we should do a Liberty Den watch party.
Oh, that'd be fun as hell. Maybe we might get some other people to join the Liberty Den this time. Chris,
I'll be there, man. Hey, man, it's Friday. I've already had 2 shows. Yesterday I had 3.
Whatever, slacker. No, but yeah, we should do that. I want to watch that thing so bad. So yeah, let's do that this Friday.
Hey, we need to talk about how good a show we're doing right now, because I just get a feeling in the middle of a Devolution Power Hour how good the show is, and this one I think is one for the ages. So if you're watching right now, do us a big solid and smash that thumbs up. If you're on Twitter, hit the heart button and hit the like on Rumble and subscribe and share it with your friends and all that good stuff. Make sure that we're number 1. Otherwise, I get the hose again.
Vagina.
Yeah.
Wait, did you see my my new meme?
Which one?
The getting the hose again meme.
Oh, did you choose a phrase for that?
I did. I went with the
hose one.
The more with the more normie version.
The one I said to do.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not like calling you a normie for liking it or anything.
Well, I'm not a normie. I may be a normie in some ways, but I'm not a CanCon normie.
You speak to normies more effectively in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Well, apparently my browser just stopped working and now I can't share it. But I will be here.
I want to play one more video quick before we get to the rants and stuff, because this was Trump. I probably should have played this earlier. Okay, well, 2 things. Did I mention earlier the $6 billion for Iran? The timeline, like, of the Iran hack?
No, we have not. We have not. You kind of previewed it at the beginning, and we have not gone into it yet. But
okay.
Yeah. But by the way, here's the. Can I put it up, John?
Yep.
Yeah. So there it is. That's for people who are begging for the hose again.
Oh, don't spray on me.
That's so good. You should.
It'll be fun.
You should put that on a shirt.
I am probably going to do that.
Okay, but let me do 2 things here. One, and this may be nothing, but I think it's notable. If you remember from the end of last year, how do I zoom in on this thing? Okay, here we go. At the end of 2023, there's that story of the United States making that deal with the Iran to give them or to unfreeze their $6 billion in frozen money. Allegedly, it was for swapping prisoners, but just so happens that in the early part of 2024, they hacked the emails of Donald Trump and they sent them directly to the Biden-Kamala campaign. Did Joe Biden do another quid pro quo? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But this interview, I don't even know he was on Newsmax, so that's kind of gay. But
very.
I want you guys to listen to this. Especially what Trump says at the end. But this is him talking about the Iran hack, talking about how this is real. This is the real hack. What happened with Spygate is fake. But at the end of this, he gives a little like, let's see what happens. Whenever Trump says that, I'm like, God damn it, Trump. What are you talking about? Why would you say this? That's over. That's done with. We've already been let down by this.
This is real stuff. They hacked.
Dang, I didn't share my audio. Patrick, I'm going to send this to you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. On it.
I can hear it.
Just for grins.
I can hear it.
Just to be sure, we'll just do it from over here. All right. Getting me used to it, though. Oh, crap. That's not the right.
Scroll down.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Scroll down.
There it is. All right.
This is real stuff. They hacked my campaign. They spied on my campaign, and they gave the information to Kamala. So when is the grand jury meeting? I'd like to know. Is there going to be a grand jury? We went through 2.5 years on a hoax. This is not a hoax. This was found by the FBI. I congratulate them for that. But this is not a hoax. They spied on my campaign, and they gave the information to the Harris campaign.
Yeah, well, they're not the first people to spy on your campaign, too. You've had issues
we had
with that.
Obama and Biden spy on my campaign, too. Let's see what happens with that.
Yeah.
This is real.
Let's see what happens with that. As if that thing is not concluded. As if the Durham report is not done. As if, like, why would you say that?
This isn't just a reenactment of that now, so people will actually watch it.
It's crazy, man. But it's interesting as hell.
Hey, just want to say an early thank you to Nobody777 for a very generous Rumble rant.
Yeah, we'll get there. We got a couple Badlands boosts. What's the date today? The 21st.
Hey, would anybody mind if I went and talked about Epic Minerals right quick?
Maybe your competitors would mind, but I don't think anybody here will.
That's all I needed to hear, John. Thank you. So I want to talk about something that I have let everybody down on. I was under the impression when I first started taking the Zeolite Extra spray that the Epic Minerals Wellness Extra was just kind of like the same basic stuff, but in capsule form. And that is just not true. I have started taking the Wellness Extra capsules. It is a combination of vitamin D, N-acetyl-L-cysteine, L-glutamine, and humic and fulvic acids, and a whole bunch of trace nutrients. And guys, it's like the energy boost of my life. And in order to make up to you the fact that I haven't even let you know that, I am now offering them until Monday, right after the brief. So you've got a little bit of time to take advantage of this. Buy one, get one half off the Epic Minerals Wellness Extra capsules. Use promo code BADLANDS. That's right, for 10% more off your order. And if you spend more than $150, you get free shipping too. My wife hates going to bed without me, so she's up in her office right now adding new products, even as we speak. A blooming hair and beard elixir, Epic candles that we just had made, the clean hippie creamy body butter, and the hand and body wash, eucalyptus and peppermint. Check it all out at epicminerals.net, promo code Badlands.
Clean hippie?
Yeah, it's lime and patchouli. It's Ash in America's favorite scent in the entire universe.
You're muted, Chris, by the way, but I love that. I mean,
you're going to love it when I send it to you. It's one of the best smells you'll ever get. It's steam distilled lime and virgin organic patchouli essential oil.
Okay. I feel like I need the next explainer. Virgin what?
Virgin organic. So the way that they get oil out of a plant, if it's the very first oil to come out of that plant, that's virgin. If it's organic, it's the way that the plant was grown and the way the plant is extracted completely free of any chemicals. And that's what we do every single time. And yes, Snowcat operator, we have a beard and hair elixir. It's a kick-ass beard oil that we put together that contains castor oil and other essential oils.
Would it be ignorant of me to ask how they can confirm the virginity of these plant oils?
There's regulators that come in and check on it and shit. I don't know, man. What are you, a cop? Wearing a wire?
No, I just think it's funny. Like, virgin plant oils, like whatever. We don't need to get into the details.
Virgin plant oils made from the best plants. That Dumpster Fire asks, "Is your wife a hippie?" She's kind of a hippie. You know, she was she was a Ron Paul guy before I thought Ron Paul was cool.
She married Patrick. That should be all I need to know. She's a hippie-ish.
Hippie-ish, yeah.
Hippie-ish. No, she's great.
Doesn't like wearing shoes. That's kind of hippie-ish.
A couple Badlands boosts I want to read here quick. JJ Shradi says, concerning the Himalayan mountain range, proper pronunciation is Himalayan. Americans always pronounce it wrong. Keep up the good work. Love the show.
I don't think I'm going to adopt that. I think I'm going to keep saying Himalayan.
That's what I'm going to say too. And I don't remember that. That must have been a last week thing.
No offense. You may be right, but it's so widespread that it'll just make me sound weird.
Yeah. Patrick
John,
doesn't want to sound weird.
Can we do one more clip
for sure
from the Trump speech tonight? Because he said something that might even make his various tax promises appear relatively small. He's promised no tax on Social Security, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. And check this out. This is, by the way, this is probably the biggest anti-bank statement maybe that I've ever heard.
You've built this up incredibly, so I hope this lives up to the...
It will.
Americans catch up. We're going to put a temporary cap on interest rates on credit card debt at 10%. Some people are paying 25 and 30%. It's crazy. You know, in theory, that's against the law. Okay, called the usury laws. But in theory, that's against. So we're going to cap it for a period of time at 10%. This election is about the...
Wow.
In theory, that's against the law. The only reason it's not technically against the law is court precedent. They basically, so states have laws against usury, but the credit card companies don't have to follow those laws because they made it all interstate commerce. I think this decision was in like 1972. And so now the banks can just charge whatever they want. And as it gets close to 30, your interest on the balance is more than 50% of your minimum payment. So there's actually no way at that point to get out of debt if you are only able to pay the minimum. Usury is totally immoral. And the reason that bankers initially got the power they got was by being something called the court factor. They would be the people who could actually make deals and commit usury because it wasn't forbidden in their religion. And that is how the Rothschilds ended up in the place they are in.
And why there's all these expulsions from various countries
and temples.
The money lenders get expelled from the countries because they end up gobbling up all the property, and the native Christians, the native Muslims too, aren't allowed to charge interest in their religion. It's a whole thing, guys. I can't believe what I just heard from Donald Trump. That actually shocks me. Now, the result's going to be, of course, it's going to make the credit card business less lucrative for the credit card operators. There are going to be fewer credit cards floating around. That, I think, is a healthy thing for a society in general. For him to make that campaign promise,
well,
damn.
He also just, exactly. And he also just announced a decentralized finance project this week.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing that people are not.
That thing.
No, man, that is a huge deal. So
I know, but like the way they're doing, like the 70% of the people.
Yeah,
like,
wait a second.
in the project.
Yeah, there's
those
a
are
whole
voting
bunch of maximalists that are going to get super upset about it. But as a project, decentralized finance with a stable coin that trades one-to-one with the dollar, operated by white hats, could be a game changer for the world financial corruption problem.
If that's what they end up doing.
Also, those tokens are just voting shares in the company and how it operates, and they have 17% of them reserved as rewards.
Oh, seriously? 17%?
Yes.
Just tell me what to do, guys. I'll do it. I'm easy.
What about the vetting, though?
That's the thing. I mean, if they're, I understand it to be like they're voting shares in the organization. So of course you're going to have that vetted.
Sure. Okay.
Right?
So that would make sense.
Like if they are operating as essentially a decentralized bank, you gotta kind of have to change your paradigm a little bit.
Yep.
But if it's operating that way, then obviously they would need responsible actors who are known weighing in on those kinds of decisions.
Yeah, I guess the way I understood it, based on what and maybe this is my fault for interpreting this way, but what the articles about the project had released, and this is before the project was even fully disclosed on that X space, was the creators of the project were keeping 70% of the tokens to, whatever, for their own profit. They're releasing 30% and they're vetting everybody, which were like huge red flags. But if that's not what's actually happening, wouldn't be surprising. But maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll be interesting. But it does seem like almost like Trump is trying to educate people on the use of cryptocurrency. He paid with Bitcoin at the restaurant this week, and Mike Saylor is going to be on Badlands next week, guys. Like these are comms. Mike Saylor, Badlands, Trump, paying with Bitcoin.
I can't wait to see that friggin' video with Michael Saylor.
I know, I can't either.
And I want to know how G Money got in touch with him.
They met at the Bitcoin conference. God, G Money invited me down. I had a ticket. I could have gone. I didn't because I had my kid. It was too short notice.
I will go next time.
I did, and I wasn't with him when he got to see Max Kaiser and Michael Saylor. Max Kaiser is hilarious.
Yeah, I don't follow him much of his shit, but
I saw this. He has this one video where he goes on a rant and talks about how he can own countries if he wants to. It's hysterical. I'll try to find it. Maybe it would be a good closer or something.
Yeah, that would be funny. Anyway, a couple more boosts here, and then we'll get to the rants. Trinity14 says, has anyone noticed how often John and Chris say weird? I think the Harris regime watches DPH. Also, what's up with the cat comms?
If the Harris regime watched DPH, they'd be a lot smarter.
Right.
It's a cat comm.
I don't know.
Oh, I don't have any cat comms.
I don't either.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Oh, maybe
I love that
people
song.
that live there. Man, did you see the Kiffness play it live in Munich? Amazing.
Where?
You haven't seen this, John?
No.
I played it yesterday on Daily, so apologies to anybody out there who's bored of seeing this, but it is spectacular. Hold on one second. I'm pulling it up right now. It is the fact that they're all singing along with this in Germany. This is how you can tell that Trump is loved around the world.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm going to read another one here. Oh, you got to pull up already.
Oh, crap. Sorry. Let me rewind.
The people that live there. They're eating the dogs.
No way.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. People of Springfield, please don't eat my cats. What? People of Springfield, please don't eat my dog. There's a cat out of the dog, a little things to eat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Yum, 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 yum. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. Eating the pets of the people that.
That's amazing. All right, Den Aguas says, in regards to Saturday's devolution, your inquiry as to what is going on in NYC. Mayor Adams was an NYPD agitator, and now mayor, by some strange fake elections reason, he is inept and corrupt, as is his entire circle running our city.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. And then Kimmy B says, been listening for over a year. First boost. Received a call from a childhood friend in Hawaii who told me she was friends with Florida shooter and his girlfriend. Crazy hearing her take, knowing him well-ish. Played pickleball weekly with him. What the hell?
Keep dishing.
Yeah, dish away. pgunnels@gmail.com. I actually read my emails.
Tell us more. Pickleball is amazing, by the way, but wow. All right. Patrick, do you by chance have the rants?
I pulled
loaded?
them all up at the very beginning.
Man, I'm so proud of you.
I'm blown away at my own not screwing this up. All right, so I'm going to get started.
Well, let's see.
The first one I have is T. Gijoli 58.
I don't have I had to restart my shit so many times.
Okay, so this is at 9:35 p.m. If they're any earlier than that, I am really, really sorry.
We're deeply sorry, guys.
Yep, 9:35 p.m. Central. $5. T. Gijoli 58. Good evening, gentlemen. Looking forward to Myrtle Beach in November, as am I. Thank you very much.
Get your tickets. That venue is amazing, by the way. Get your tickets, guys. Badlandsmedia.tv/events.
Awesome. $10. Patrick J17. I thank all the patriots that gave prayers for the birth of my son. He's 2.5 days old now, sleeping on my chest. My wife and my son are very healthy. Thanks for the prayers.
If this is the guy I'm thinking of, he left a Rumble rant, Rumble rant during the Wednesday Power Hour. He's like, my wife is in the middle of labor right now. She's 42 years old, giving birth to our son. I'm like 64 years old. I
remember that.
Dude's a legend. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Congratulations.
Congrats, man.
Badass. Congratulations.
I'm assuming they named him Patel, but that's not confirmed yet.
Okay. And then of course the centerpiece of our Rumble rants today, $500.
Wow.
Holy crap. My friend, Nobody 777. Thanks. Don't forget, Trump was inaugurated on his 70th year, 7th month, and 7 days of age. God bless. Thank you so much. Blowing the doors off of our Rumble rant numbers today. Thank you so much, Nobody 777.
Thank you, Nobody.
$5. Lucy the dog. Could the article be about Michael Obama? I do not know. Thank you so much for the super chat. $10. Sunstone 815. Hi, gents. Longtime Badlands fan here. I love the Saturday night DPH. Patrick already knows I love him to pieces, but John, Chris, and Patrick, you always make the Saturday show so much fun. Thank you so much. Love having people watching for a long time. It's the best thing ever. $15. 1027. JS. John, ICSU won their homecoming game. Did you attend?
I was there. My girlfriend's brother plays for the team. He's injured right now, but yeah.
What sport is this?
Football.
Oh, wow.
NDSU football.
SU stands for?
Well, NDSU, North Dakota State University.
Thank you. Okay. $5. RPRN. The web has been scrubbed of anything Harris Diddy, even any pics of her and Diddy at a fundraiser he hosted for her.
Is that true?
Word is she worked as an escort, opposed to slinging burgers. Go to yandex.com and see what you can find.
That's what I'm doing right now, Patrick. Yeah. I was just about to say.
$5. Sean Joe, the patriots in the military, I believe, have had enough with this latest coup on Biden USA. I think that there's a possibility that's true. $2. Keith O'Higgins. What if an unelected military has been in control since Kennedy was killed? Neither Biden nor Trump can control them. Always an interesting hypothetical to consider. $10. J back. I love you all. Thank you. XOXO. Thank you so much. $5. RPRN. In what situation or situations could the election be legally canceled or postponed? I haven't looked into that. John, Chris?
That's the thing. Like, I don't think they care about the legality of any of that shit. If they're going to try to cancel it, they don't care if it's legal.
Yeah.
I mean, but they would have to have some kind of a fig leaf of legality to stick on it, right?
No, I mean, look what they did in Ukraine. It was just we want to make sure everybody can vote. We don't have confidence right now that everybody can get their vote in. Like, so if that's their justification for saving democracy in Ukraine, like, imagine what they'll use here. They don't care. Like, a wind blows too hard in Tennessee and takes out a power line. They're going to be like, well, I don't know, guys. I'm not confident. They'll do whatever.
$5. Beachside. Patrick, for over 3 years, you've made me laugh throughout these torturously retarded times. I owe you another ounce of silver for it. These retards we wrestle will soon be eating a bag of dicks. Thank you so much, Beachside. Good to hear from you yet again. You can always, and email me too, or send me silver. I guess I'll see you at Myrtle Beach. $2, Keith O'Higgins. Sean Ryan is the least retarded person on the media short bus. That is what I'm hearing. He also seems like he could beat me to death with one hand. So that's also impressive.
He's very innocent. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just very innocent. Doesn't know. His innocence is still with him.
Looks that way. $1, TJ Kibbles. I feel like the mainstream personalities are intentionally avoiding devolution and Q to slow roll the D class to the normies organically. Maybe they've been asked not to spill the beans. That would definitely explain why we are not being promoted, considering the fact that we are some bean spilling sons o' bees.
While we're getting shit on.
Yep, while we're getting beans spilled on our heads. $5, Beachside. What happens when the world realizes that jurisdictional boundaries are crushed by possession of Bitcoin? I think it's pretty much already out there that boundaries don't have any effect on the transfer of electronic assets. But I don't know. When they realize it, they'll start trying to buy up as much crypto as they can. Another very, very generous super chat, $100. Thank you so much. P.W. Herford with total control achieved. Would a huge mandate be the only needed piece left for a massive government rebuild, disclosure of all crimes without dev disclosure? Yeah, that sounds like a pretty dang accurate thing to surmise.
Total control achieved. I mean, that's an interesting qualifier at the beginning there.
Yeah, so some people think there's total control. Some people don't.
I think the whole thing has been about the mandate. I think that part's right.
Yeah. Huge mandate, huge consensus. And we have no idea what the actual numbers are with public opinion. We do know that polls are fake as a freaking $2 bill. No. I mean, I meant $3 bill. Sorry. Okay. They're fake as Michelle Obama's uterus. $7. Another 179. Maybe BLM has covered this. Per Chaos Coordinator. Ooh, we love her. The Biden admin has been collecting info regarding F-35 and F-22 tech secretly sold to China by Burgum of ND, North Dakota, to use as the October surprise against Trump. Well, if the CIA operative Chaos Coordinator says it, it must be worth listening to. And
why would Burgum corruption hurt Trump?
She's from North Dakota, and so she's trying to like do two birds with one stone here. It feels like, sounds like.
I did not know that. I did not know she was from North Dakota.
Oh, there's a huge lawsuit in Minnesota or in North Dakota, Minot, North Dakota, where she got in trouble for starting a charity and like defrauding a bunch of people for a lot of money.
Oh,
allegedly. Based on the lawsuit, so she didn't sue me, but yeah, it's on public records. You can look it up, look her up.
We're talking about Tori Maris, by the way.
Yeah,
$5, another 179. Countering the trans agenda aggressively is extremely important. IMO, it's entrenched in elementary schools' most moldable minds, probably in part because no one was countering them for decades. First step is to figure out how to actually get the elections for school board to be not fake. But yeah, very good point. Children are very vulnerable. $1, Valseco 16. Chris, where's the Eating Cats concert clip from? Chris, where's that from?
I posted it in the chat. If you mean what venue, I don't know. It says in the caption it's from Munich, Germany. So that's as far as I know about it.
It's pretty amazing. He was able to get them to sing it with him. That was cool. $10, Rise Attire. We've been looking forward to tonight since we first saw Ghost of Base Patrick Henry's tweet. Y'all delivered as always. Great show, gents. See you in SC.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Rise Attire.
Thanks,
$10. Q fan addict. Look at Naomi Wolf, Dr. Malone, inventor of mRNA, who voted for Biden, and my biggest red pill, Chris Miller, who admitted he was 100% blindsided and naive of evil players and motives until after Biden's inaug. I really hope he wasn't naive. I really hope that that's just not true. I don't know.
Well, the good thing is we're just still here and everything's okay.
Very true. $3 dead stroke. You have looked into changes in the UCMJ to understand them. You have to look into the Trump changes to the MCM, Military Courts Martial.
Don't have to do anything, number one, but I will do that. Yeah.
I react that way now when people say you have to do something too.
I fucking hate when people say that, but yes, I will do that.
I don't mind it when you say it, Deadstroke, because you gave us $3. $5. Ron East 79 Matt K told us to buy Bitcoin at $17 a coin back in the day on the Alex Jones show. Who's Matt K?
I think he means Max Kaiser.
Thank you. Okay.
Max Kaiser was on Alex Jones.
Yes. And Max Kaiser hazes Alex Jones over it because he told him he was going to give him Bitcoin or sell him Bitcoin for some very low price or something. I don't remember the whole story.
I've got to look because, everybody at this point, you all know that Alex Jones is just an intelligence asset whose real name is William Hicks, right? Okay.
Bill for short. Yeah.
Yep. Bill Hicks. He's that dude. He was a comedian and then he became Alex Jones and he's playing a character. It's all very, very obvious. $5.
Big joke. Yep.
True deplorable. While at the Trump rally in Wilmington, North Carolina today, someone sent me Q drop number 2263 and check out the date. I can go grab that right now.
Yeah, I'll read the next one. PowerCell99 says, whatever happened to Thomas Wichter? Not on any other platform, Truth, Rumble, or Locals. I think he still does a show with that faggot over on Quod Verum, but blows my mind. Thomas Wichter, I used to credit him at the very beginning of my series as the source of devolution, like the first guy talking about it. He told me through other sources to stop mentioning him. So I did. And that's like the last I heard of him. He stopped talking about it.
Yeah. Right after J6, he started acting like a complete friggin' maniac. All right. Yeah. And by the way, Q search results for Q drop number 2263. I'll just pull that Q drop up real quick.
Okay.
Q drop number 2263. And that is of September 21st, 2018. So here we are. It's a 6-year Q drop delta. Fake news about to shift narrative against their masters in effort to weather the storm. Panic everywhere. Patriots are ready. Enjoy the rally at the Q tonight. Q. All right.
Wow.
Enjoy. All right. Next.
The Meerkat. Is there a confirmed date for next year's Deadwood? I need to know before I set my school's 2025-2026 calendar and publish applications, which I try to do before October each year. Had to miss this year. You're going to schedule a school calendar around a Badlands conference?
Nice.
I fucking love you. We will work with you. I don't know if I'm allowed to disclose this publicly. I don't want Mrs. Bright to kill me. But if you email events@badlandsmedia.org and oh man, how are we going to do this so that 1 million people don't figure out the date? I don't know how to do this. Just we need a code word. But now
email me at pgunnels@gmail.com. We'll get through it one way or another.
Yeah. Email Patrick. We'll figure it out. But yeah, we can work with you. Just do it. Just do it in September. Start your school calendar in September, and you'll be good. This is going to be in August.
Yeah. Well, okay. There you go. $5. Another 179. Saw it on Scotty Mar 10 regarding Burgum. I don't know anything about Chaos Coordinator other than from him. I am surprised about your take. Thanks for the truth. Thank you. Yeah, we just don't like her. She's just a freaking motor mouth, man. Thank you so much for the super chat, though. I have a very short 37-second, very amateurishly made clip that I took from last Devolution Power Hour where I think I might have influenced Donald Trump's Truth Social.
Do it.
All right, guys, check this out. 37 seconds.
There's also like a whole Taylor Swift 3-minute song about how she's the worst now that she's endorsed Kamala. That came out the day after too. Did you guys see that one?
No, I did not see it. I think I might have started watching it, but I don't really. I hate her. I think she's a dude, and I think she's a witch, and I just hate her. So I've always hated her, though.
But it's pretty impressive to be the first male witch.
She's a very powerful man witch.
There's also like,
for those of you who are just listening, it immediately toggled to Trump's tweet or truth. I hate Taylor Swift. In all of Trump's public statements of all time, he has never stated that he hates a person. And in all of mine, I never say I hate anybody. But 12 hours after I said it, he said it too.
You've never said you hated somebody before?
I don't say I hate people. It's very, very uncharacteristic of me. I say horrible things about them. I don't do some uncreative hackneyed shit by saying, I hate this person. It's just incredibly unusual for me. I just think that I might actually be a very powerful man witch, and that I caused that ripple in the force that caused Trump to say, I hate Taylor Swift.
Can you describe Jenna Ellis for me?
She is a well-intentioned, disease-free sex worker.
How do you know she's disease-free?
Because she always follows the rules when she takes on one of her Johns. She doesn't work the cheap street corners. She works the very expensive hotels, and she uses the very best of prophylactics against sexually transmitted diseases. She is a very good sex worker.
But you don't hate her.
Now, I never said I hated her. I called her a whore, and I feel bad about that.
Okay, well that is interesting though. That Bernie Bread has his like moments where the shark thing, Trump talking about sharks, and the brain flame of
Yep, it was good.
liberty or whatever. And now you got the I hate Taylor Swift.
Yep.
If he would just freaking retweet a link to the Power Hour, that would just confirm everything for us. But he just won't do it.
That would be amazing, and I should just I will share the link the next time he truths.
You want to know something funny?
All right.
This week, I wrote a letter to the office of Donald Trump about credit card usury.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Before he gave that speech?
Well, about bank usury and the companies in general. Yeah, because I actually was going through my transactions this week and found these tiny transactions and like just repetitive fraud transactions that the bank didn't catch. So I was like on a tear about it for a few days. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to tell President Trump about this. Maybe somebody reads these things. Because it's total bullshit that banks can just allow for that to happen. Like they have fraud warnings sometimes, and then other times they'll just allow it to continue.
Can you
do nothing?
Hold on. Can you like prove when you wrote that and sent that?
I don't know if they actually send you receipts, but let me check my email.
That is
I was trying to find
noteworthy.
I was trying to find the Max Kaiser clip.
That is very noteworthy.
Give me a second.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, and you should post
not
that
as amazing as me causing him to say he hates Taylor Swift, but pretty damn amazing.
It's up there. Both pretty amazing, if you ask me. But
it's 9/19/24. All it says is thank you for writing to President Donald J. Trump. We are carefully reviewing your message. And then blah, blah, blah.
They carefully reviewed that shit.
How the hell do I know?
Talked about it. Well, he talked about it 2 days later.
You got a receipt.
Crazy. Anyway, guys, my mind's kind of blown.
Good damn show today, guys.
That was fun.
Hey, hit that thumbs up, guys. Show us in the leaderboard how good this show was. Hit thumbs up for us.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And yeah, we'll see you next time we see you. Chris, Patrick, as always.
John, do you have a closer?
I was just gonna use our trailer.
Oh,
do it.
Because I was gonna say I have this one of the best Max Kaiser rants ever.
Do it. Yeah,
Let's
that
do
sounds great.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Okay. So let me just get this in the right.
If you want me to play it, I can do it.
I got it.
All right.
Hold on. What?
Hold for processing.
Oh, indeed.
Hold on. Let me just cue this up just perfectly here, and then we'll get our share on. Now we are ready.
All right.
Say when.
Thank you, everybody. We will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Into the leadership of this country. They're sticking a knife into every person out there who is yearning to be free from the dollar, from the IMF, from shitcoins. I don't have any mercy for these people. And, occasionally I vocalize as such, and I'm willing to die on this hill. Like, I got nothing to lose. Like, I don't have any family other than Stacy. Like, my parents are dead. I have no kids. I have no brothers or sisters. I am a fucking lone wolf. And if you fuck with me, I'm going to fucking tear your head off and shit down your neck. That's my message to anybody who tries to fuck with the Bitcoin country brand. Okay, I am a fucking unhinged character who's been totally orange pilled, who will stop at nothing. If I feel that this project's going off the rails, I don't give a shit who you are. You're going down, buddy. You're going down. It's not going to be pretty because I don't give a shit. I've got so much fucking Bitcoin, I could buy this country. Don't force me to buy this country and then fire all these fuckers. Don't make me have to do that. But I will if I have to. It's like a $28 billion economy. I got that in my sock. That's fucking nothing to me. Don't anchor me. Okay, I'm telling you, don't fucking do it. Okay, that's my warning. That's my fucking warning. Okay, put it out there.
All right.
They crossed me. I tell you, shit's gonna hit the fan. Okay, we will stop at nothing. The shit we've been through to stop these shitcoiners already. It's been epically annoying.
Yeah, didn't you stop CZ and a bunch of these clowns?
Every big name shitcoiner out there tried to come in. And they all got halfway down the road before they got fucking their heads ripped off. Some of them were escorted to the airport and thrown out of this country. Okay, I'm not going to name names today, but they were literally escorted out of the country. Okay, and look, if anybody's going to go against this, I pity them. I really do. I pity them and their family. I really do. They don't know what a New Yorker is all about. They're like, we had gangs for 20 years. I'm like, yeah, MS-13 is a fucking pansy-ass nobody compared to an outraged New Yorker. And the people say, oh, you were here during the biggest violence when all these people got murdered. And I went outside and I'm like, yeah, it's like 42nd Street, 1978. It means nothing to me. Like, I've seen it all, buddy. You think this is a horror show? Talk to me about New York City in 1977. That was a fucking freak show and a horror show. That's where I come from, right? He's like, it's MS-13. They've got tattoos. They're so dangerous. Say, fuck you, buddy. Come at me right now, and I will fucking eviscerate you. I speak.
Witness the motion picture event that is being called fucking amazeballs.
Do you see the difference in the M there?
It's go time. 25 later on my.
You got a seriously weird ass way of looking at shit.
If you look at the waviness of the little flag that comes out of the R is wavy. The one in the first hump in the M is not wavy. It's just a pure arc. Does that make sense?
We want to warn our viewers that these are extremely graphic images.
Give me a second, dude. This is more autistic than I've ever been before.